Okay, so we're going to be working on our ready stance. Now, ready stance is our foundation. Power comes from ground, so we need to place something on this ground that's going to be able to pull that power into us. All right? So again, it's our foundation. It's what the rest of our body stands on. It's where the rest of the power comes from. Without a good stance and a good platform, which is the ground, these are not going to work as well. Okay. So the way we open into our stance is we just start by standing normally. Right? There's a lot that goes into standing properly. I have my feet pointing forward, my knees over the second toe, balanced in my feet between heel and the two pads. So it's like there's a triangle on the ground on each foot. I rise up, I stretch out my spine, I have my front open up, and I flex throughout my back. Right. Engaging the glutes, knees slightly bent. Right. With our structured arms, we always have slight bend, and everything in the arms works in the legs. So starting here, about shoulder width apart, I just step back, and my knees are bent, and I'm bouncy. So from the side, it's right here. So you'll notice that this leg is straight up and down, and this part of the leg is also straight up and down. So this really helps with proper human structure, keeps us within something we call gait. Right. So in this stance, my heels lifted off the ground, which actually increases the fire energy as far as the elements in our body. It gives us the ability to lunge fast and far, so it increases our speed. It also increases the power of our strikes. And because this fire energy is turned on, our body says, I'm ready for something. So say somebody's just in front of you, and all you do is put your foot up, bring your heel up, and you're on your toe. You're immediately ready for something. So again, back to the stance. We want knees bent, so we're nice and agile. We're ready to move. Right? Heel off the ground, knees bent. If I ever push, glutes engage. Right? My upper body, it's nice and pulled up, nice structure or nice posture. Okay, so now based on the angles we want to have our body. So if I'm facing you guys, I want both my feet on a 45. So my knees are actually in line still with my toes. So my front knee is slightly turned in, which also helps protect my groin. If I get my lead leg kicked, if it's frontwards, it can break. If it's slightly turned, it'll collapse in. Right? So you prevent yourself from getting a serious injury. My hips are then on a 45, and so are my shoulders. So everything being on a 45, when I go to strike, if I strike with this side, there's still a slight 45. When I go to bring my backhand in, my hips come forward, and I'm then square. But our ready stance is also our fighting stance, right? Because this stance will just move. Any direction you go, whatever happens, you'll always end up back in this nice, balanced, ready position. So alongside this stance, we always want to make sure that our hands are in a good position. So backhand should always be ready to protect. There's a couple ways we can protect with this backhand. We can shoot forward like this, which again, that arm structure exists. We call this pack. It's from Wing Chun. It's just a palm block. Something comes at me, I just stick my arm out. If something comes around side, I can use my triangle block. Triangulation is very strong. All right. And another one we have, which we can use again, you can use triangle from the front as well. You can use this pack from the front. But just talking about the backhand, we stick our arm out, and again, this structured position, we just put our arm out, and that is actually very powerful. It can take quite a bit. You can feel what it is when someone actually hauls off and hits, and you just, right? So backhand's always protecting. Front hand can be down, or it can be up, right? Some people like to curl their shoulder in. It's a great boxing trick. Personally, my shoulders are back and down, so I don't like this curl. A lot of people can do this very easily. Keep your chin tucked, and you're actually very protected here. All right, nice strong stance, nice and balanced. Shoulder protecting your chin. Chin is a sweet spot to get hit. All right, so hand protecting, front hand ready for whatever. If you want it up here, that's up to you. So also there's weight transfer. There's different systems that call for different weight distributions. When I'm here, I'm basically 50-50. When I push, it's 70-30. When I push back, 70-30. So whatever leg you're pushing from becomes your weighted leg. When I'm just standing here, I'm rocking back and forth. It's basically 50-50. Now, the final thing here, when I said before, power comes from ground. Power also returns to ground. If I'm going to strike my opponent and his power enters my arm, it's going to go down the arm, out the elbow, into my hip, into the ground, and I have to be strong and balanced here so that I can deliver all the energy I can and also accept the energy at the same time. Another aspect about stance that I like to focus on is generally the width of your stance. When we look at Wing Chun, we use a perfect line, put our heel and heel on the line, and then we're here. So we practice within here. In a real fight of using Wing Chun, I don't think I could do that. I really don't. I'd probably be a little bit more like this. But within our boxing footwork, we play from about here to there. Right? I find for me that the closer I am together, the better I can do kicks. The wider I am, the more aggressive and stable I feel for my hands. Also, there's a little trick where you can actually step backwards, but actually reach further forwards. And what's happening when this has been shown to me, at first it blew my mind, so I'm like, how is that even possible? And then you just look at it for what it really is, and it's actually quite simple. So when I'm standing like this, my back hip is just a little bit farther back. If I step back into the side, my hip is actually now more forward. Right? So it's like I'm stepping back, but my body actually moves forward because now my reach is just that much closer. So when you open your stance a bit more, your groin is more susceptible to get hit, but your hips are there, so that unifying and just pulling in and just hitting. So you got a little bit more reach, which your opponent will probably be deceived by how close you are, because you're not actually, your feet aren't any closer. I haven't stepped closer, but I can actually reach further. So if I'm just like this, and that's my furthest reach, if you can see it, if there's something behind me that can align it, and then I just bring this forward a bit, I haven't stepped forward, but my reach is another couple inches. So that just gives you a little tactic that, you know, you can trick your opponent, you can be dancing around, you can strike, and then you just step off to the side a bit, and you can actually then hit them, where at first you couldn't. So it gives you a free shot, and once you get one in, you got to keep going. So just keep moving in. So again, just added part about the stance is your general width. As I explained before, you just step straight back, but then you can also come up a little further. And it all depends what you're working with. So always be aware of your footwork when you're doing practice, even if it's like a wrist grab or it's a throw. Understand what your feet are doing to deliver the most amount of power for whatever technique you're trying to deliver.